He gets up close to me and he says, Gene, I want you to know that you are the most sophisticated color I've ever seen. Now, when that man said that to me, I'm going to be real with y'all. I got mad because I was like, colored. When I think about self-awareness, I think about one word for you, and that's responsibility. Because it doesn't matter what you want to do in this world. You are going to be responsible for knowing yourself well enough so you know the areas of your life in which you need to make improvements. What's up, Gene? This word to be great. I want to have a conversation with you about self-awareness. And I feel that this conversation will be good for you, especially when you're trying to level up in your life. Now, I created a video series, and this video series will be based off self-assessment. Now, self-assessment is a deep and honest evaluation of our own emotions, attitudes, and behaviors. And this video series will be focused on the 3 aspects of self-assessment, which is emotion, attitudes, and behaviors. And we're going to start with emotion, and we're going to focus on what's called emotional intelligence, also known as emotional, we'll just put or competence. And all that means is that you have the ability to control your emotions. So let's just be real. Emotions are hard to control, especially when somebody says something or do something towards you that really upsets you, that triggers you. For example, years ago, when I first came out with my book, Overcoming Empty Closet, I did my own book tour. And I went to this one event and I did it very well. And at the end of it, I was in the back of the room selling my books. And this elderly man who was pushing about 85 years old, he's walking towards me. He's staring at me. He gets up close to me and he says, Gene, I want you to know that you are the most sophisticated color I've ever seen. Now, when that man said that to me, I'm going to be real with y'all. I got mad because I was like, colored? What kind of racist stuff is that? And my mind automatically went to racism. I became angry. I became frustrated. But at that time, I was emotionally intelligent. So I said to myself, Gene, this man grew up in a different time. You're here at a book, event. You don't want to be losing your cool, yelling and screaming. So I looked at the elderly gentleman and I said, sir, we don't use the term colored. You can say African American. You can say black man or something like that. I appreciate you coming. He said, oh, I didn't mean no disrespect. I said, I totally understand. But I'm just letting you know, you can just call me Gene. That'll be more appropriate. He said, okay, Gene, hey, nothing but respect. But just think about that. What if you was in a situation like that? If it was a racist situation, or you was in a situation somebody said something to you that was demeaning, or somebody hit you, or somebody talked about your mama. That moment is when we can actually, lose our cool. And in a lot of situations, it may be justified. But emotional intelligence is when you can make that decision because you have control of your emotions. You can manage your emotions. And that leads us to our next thing we're going to discuss, which is self-management. Which is, be honest with you, that's just a very fancy term for self-control. And self-control is not doing the things that can keep you from your desired success. Whatever that success is for you. I can't determine what that is for you, but you know what that is. Now, on the flip side of self-control is this word that a lot of people don't like. It is self-discipline. And self-discipline is doing the productive things that you say you're going to do despite how you feel that's going to lead to your desired success. For example, when I was doing my what I call now my Word to Be Great self-discipline coaching program, I had this client that was about 25 years old and he still didn't have his GED. So one day we was having a discussion and I asked him, I said, hey man, why do you want to get your GED? He said, listen, I've been telling myself for years I'm going to get my GED. I dropped out of high school when I was 17 years old and I still haven't got it. I said, why haven't you got it? He said, because every time I start studying, I get distracted and I forget about the GED and I never get it done. So I said, okay, we're going to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about self-discipline and self-control. And I broke it down to him just like I broke it down to you. And so as we was going through the coaching process, I said, okay, you get distracted. Your goal is to do what? Get your GED. So let's talk about some things you can do that's going to put you in that position. So what he came up with is that he was going to study for his GED when he got off work from, I think, 5:45 to 6:30 p.m. And then he would go eat with his family. And then we had to come up with some self-control measures. And the self-control measure was he was going to leave his cell phone downstairs so he couldn't take it up there while he was studying, because, if he got a text message, he might start strolling on social media. So what he focused on every day is he studied from 5:45 to 6:30 p.m. and he had his phone upstairs. Now the studying itself was the self-discipline, and the phone upstairs so he control was the self-control. And when you're trying to live a dream, you're trying to reach your goals, you got to have that self-management. You got to have that self-discipline and that self-control. Because if you don't have these two things working together, there's no way you're going to be successful in what you're trying to do. And that is part of becoming self-aware. You got to know yourself well enough to know, hey, you know what? If I start working on this distraction is going to get the best of me. If I want to lose weight, I better not have these Oreos in the house, because if I do, I'm going to eat them. You got to know yourself well enough, because that is part of you being self-aware, and that also allows you to become more emotionally intelligent. Now, one thing I've discovered is that when we are in the process of becoming self-aware, self-awareness allows you to manage those emotions that's going to pull you into an area that's going to keep you from being successful. So if you want to become emotional intelligent or become emotional competent by managing your emotion, you have to realize that is part of becoming, you have to realize that's going to happen when you have that self-management in place as well. You have that self-discipline, you have that self-control. No matter what it is you're trying to accomplish, you have the ability to do so. But it all starts with you becoming self-aware. And you become self-aware through self-assessment. Understanding what it is that you need to work on about yourself that's going to allow you to be successful. So take today's video and ask yourself this question. Am I emotionally intelligent? Am I emotionally competent? Or am I allowing my emotions to get the best of me, and that's why I'm not making progress? And if you know it's time for you to start working on your self-management, work on your self-discipline, your self-control, so you can start moving towards the path that you want in your life, because you are worthy to be great. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about attitude, because attitude is very, very vital in the process of becoming self-aware. If you like this video, I want to ask you to like and share this video. Also, hit that bell so anytime I post another video, you are notified. Also, want to ask you to join my Word to Be Great newsletter. This newsletter is designed to help you build your self-worth, your self-discipline, your self-confidence, so you can achieve your dreams. So click the link below and join my newsletter today.